Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, back into the next episode of our season preview. Thank you for listening to our first one on the Atlantic Division. If you haven't, go check it out. Link will be down in the description below or somewhere on this page that you are listening to. And now we're going to get into the Metropolitan Division. I am Zach, joined with Kurt once again.
Here we are.
And we'll get right into it here.
Boom. Carolina Hurricanes. This is the bandwagon of the year. I think everyone's hopping on after what they did last season. Shocked the world.
They're a fun team to watch. I mean, what can you blame anybody? If anything, they only got better in the offseason.
Yeah, for sure. The surge they had last year was fun. They won't be doing that this season. I don't believe so, because that was kind of a spur of the moment.
They got hot at the right time. It was definitely a time.
It was fun.
Yeah.
If they continue doing it, then they're just even bigger jerks than they were before.
Oh, a bunch of jerks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they lose their captain.
They did. Justin Williams retired, but
no, he did not. He's taking a season off, he said. But I can see that as a forced retirement, because who wants a guy who hasn't played in a year, who's a year old?
They literally directly replaced him with somebody who, I think is better, and that's Patrick Marleau.
Yeah.
That's a direct slot in replacement for Justin Williams, position to position.
Except Patrick Marleau is a free agent. They traded for him and bought him out right away.
Oh, really? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they traded for him, bought him out for the cap space. So then who goes in that spot now? It'd be Ryan Dzingel.
Yeah.
They picked up Dzingel. And so I guess they're not quite as good as I thought they were. They lost Ferland, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
But he didn't play for them like a ton last season. He was hurt a lot of the season. But they locked up Sebastian Aho after the weirdest offer sheet from Montreal.
The joke of an offer sheet.
I don't know why Aho even signed that. He could have got so much more, but I think he just wanted to play. And he took the chance, because if he wasn't going to play in Carolina, Montreal would have been a great home for him.
I think he wanted to go to Montreal.
Yeah.
And Montreal wasn't willing to sign him for more because they weren't willing to give up the compensation for the offer sheet.
Yeah.
Because if it was any more money than that, they would have had to give up a bunch of first round picks.
Honestly, I think
it was just a waste of time.
It makes it, the whole RFA situation this season just makes me wonder if something needs to be reworked in how these contracts are allowed to be negotiated, with how offer sheets work and everything. They're so complex.
Yeah.
And there's so many intricacies to it. It's just, at the end of the day, either way, Aho is still going to be a Carolina Hurricane. He's got a guy like Nino Niederreiter who he can feed the puck to, and Niederreiter's a good player.
Oh, that was such a rob of a freaking trade.
Yeah.
But yeah, Niederreiter I think is going to have a great season as well. We got a new captain in town, Jordan Stahl, getting to see.
Yeah, that's deserved. He's a veteran player.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's been through the thick and the thin. He's been on a cup run. He's got the veteranship to do well. Their back end is not as good because they lost Justin Falk.
I don't mind that. Yeah, they lose the trade there.
Falk wasn't a big offensive producer anyway.
Yeah, no, but Edmonton's fine.
Yeah, Edmonton was a good compensation for that.
Yeah, and they brought in Jake Gardner.
Yeah.
I like Jake Gardner. I know you aren't a big fan of him.
If he turns it around here and makes me eat my words, I'll be happy. But
yeah. Your boy Jacob Slavin and Dougie Hamilton on the first pairing, I think, is pretty amazing. The reason this team was so successful last year was the amount of money they had spent on their defense and goaltending was so minuscule.
Yeah.
And how much great production they got from him was what was amazing.
Oh, the bank to buck ratio there is really,
yes, absolutely.
It's high, and the fact that they they lost McElhenney was their backup.
Yeah, he's been in Tampa now.
He's been splitting time with. He was splitting time with Mrazek. If Mrazek can be a solid number one goalie there, then they have a chance.
Yeah, well, that's where most teams are going these days, is this 1-2 punch where you have two goalies and you play two goalies.
Yeah.
It's not like we have a backup. There's no really thing. The backup plays nowadays. You get a 50-30 split.
For them to get James Reimer, though, in replacement of McElhenney. McElhenney, don't get me wrong, solid goalie. He had a great season with the Carolina Hurricanes last season.
Yeah.
For his standards, at least. I think Reimer is a better fit for that spot.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all.
That's a decent 1-2 punch to have with goalies, but that's the Carolina Hurricanes. Similar to the Montreal Canadiens, and maybe I don't know. I guess the Florida Panthers. They'll be swinging for one of those wild card spots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my take on them. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think they could potentially make the playoffs again. It all depends I think, with their goaltending and defense. If their defense is just as strong, then their goaltending will be fine.
Yeah.
But I think if Mrazek's facing a million shots, he'll struggle.
He's a streaky goalie too, so like he'll
Yeah.
he'll go on to like if he gets
So is Reimer, where it's
if
scary.
either of them get more than 2 shutouts this season, I guarantee that 2 of those came in like within 2 weeks or a week or 2 of each other. Like they're just really streaky goalies.
I'm curious what you think we're going to see from Andrei Svechnikov this year. Is he going to take another step?
Svechnikov it'd be nice to see him produce like a 35 goal, say like a 70-point season. If he produces a 70-point season, then that's good for them because that's the direction they need from him. They're going to need somebody to support Sebastian Aho. Aho is a great centerman, but I don't think he's fit to be your top scorer on your team. I see Sebastian Aho ending up in similar shoes to Nicholas Backstrom from the Washington Capitals.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of similarities you can draw between those two players, and having somebody who can just light it up or be open for a nice shot or help him out on the power play. That's what Svechnikov needs to be, and hopefully he doesn't get into injury trouble.
Yeah, I like that comparison. That's a good one.
On to the next team. I mean, and this
was a team that went all in last
literally
year.
All in. Literally every
deadline.
chip they shoved, and
it didn't pay off.
you respect them for it. You respect them for going that route.
You don't see it anymore.
Yeah,
You basically teams say, okay, we don't have a chance to win the cup. We're not going for it.
They weren't going to play it safe at all, and
Nope.
they did. The Blue Jackets did what they could.
Yeah, Jarmo Kekalainen basically went all in hopes to keep guys like Bobrovsky around, showing how much he wants to win.
I mean, Panarin had that vodka for life deal offered to him.
Yeah, you pass that up. Anyways, we're on to the Columbus Blue Jackets. A lot weaker this season with the pieces they've lost, and Panarin, their top scorer there, and Bobrovsky, their Vezina contending goaltender.
Yeah. So now they're turning to Jonas Korpisalo, is that his name?
Yeah.
And then their other goalie, Elvis Merzlikins. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, and they're turning to those two. Korpisalo's a good goalie. I'm not gonna, hurt him too much there, but he's not a Bobrovsky. Neither of those guys are a Bobrovsky. Up front, you kept a guy like Nyquist in the lineup, but Nyquist isn't a Panarin.
No, or a Duchesne even.
Yeah, So their top scorers are going to be maybe Pierre-Luc Dubois and Cam Atkinson. I mean, they're a team that if they make the playoffs, I will be very surprised.
I think people are expecting this massive, fall off. I don't think they're going to be as bad as a lot of people think. I mean, they still have some nice pieces. They still have Seth Jones and this team, Zach Werenski.
Yeah, two good defensemen, young defensemen.
Which, defense can really help when you have lackluster goaltending. They'll still be in the thick of it. Do they make it into the postseason? Doubtful, and if so, they won't fare well.
And the other thing I wanted to ask is, so say they're not a middle of the pack team, right? Say they do actually fall as far as everybody thinks they might.
Yeah.
Do they nuke it at the deadline?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean,
I would, because they basically nuked their farm system last year by trying to go all in for it. So why not try and recoup some of what you've lost?
Yeah, that would be not a bad play, I think, for them to do. But the Blue Jackets, that's our summary of them.
Yeah, it's hard for their fans.
It's super hard for Columbus Blue Jackets fans.
It was exciting in the playoffs last year when they made a little run, but
when they 4-0'd Tampa, I mean, that was everybody's like, wow, are they the real deal? But and credit where credit is due, they 4-0'd the best team in the NHL. They swept them, but that was almost as much Tampa losing to them as them beating Tampa. Tampa really misstepped.
Yeah.
Tampa gave them a mile rather than giving them an inch, and them taking a mile. Tampa gave them the mile.
The way I see it, the Blue Jackets allowed the Boston Bruins to go to the Cup final.
Yeah, that was it.
If Tampa was, got their feet moving and they beat Columbus, they'd be on all cylinders going against that Bruins team.
Yeah.
Instead, they just kind of, took a step back quickly and they didn't have the opportunity to go to the second round.
All right.
We're on to our next team here.
Yep.
This team has made a bunch of moves, especially with first overall draft pick. We're on to the New Jersey Devils.
Yes.
Drafted Jack Hughes first overall. How do you feel about this pick?
Good pick. I mean,
Can't go wrong with
you can't go wrong with the 1 or 2 this season. I mean, him and Capo Caco both have guys that are both have qualities in a high pick guy. Do I see him coming out of the gate and putting up McDavid, Eichel, Matthews kind of numbers as a first overall pick? Probably not.
No.
He'll be more in line with his fellow teammate now, Nico Hischier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
he's a good addition, but he won't if he gets. I don't know. He'll have a decent season.
Yeah, I think over the long run of his career, they're kind of looking towards the future of what he can be, and I think he'll be great. But I don't think he's going to be a superstar out the gate.
Nope.
I think Capo Caco has a greater chance of doing something like that. But this season, the Devils made a lot of moves. They went and traded for PK Subban.
PK
to help with that blue line. And
what blue line? That's what I mean. Like,
yeah, they
didn't have too much going for them on the back end. So having,
and I think what they really want to do here is try and show Taylor Hall that they're serious about winning, because Taylor Hall's rumored to want to leave following the season, and they want him to stay.
They need him to stay. It's not a one situation. If Taylor Hall leaves, you've got Columbus all over again here.
Yeah.
And then what do they have in net? Like, the worst part about this team, I think, is that they went all in on Corey Schneider, and he might not win another game in his NHL career. I mean, he had a horrible season last season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Worst of his career. Worst by a lot of standards. If he ever gets hockey cards made of him again, that season's going to be a blight on the back in that stats category.
Yeah, don't even put it there.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's just rough from him. And if he doesn't perform this season, no knocks on Blackwood, but I don't think Blackwood's ready to be a number 1 goalie that can help contend for a playoff spot. I don't think the Devils make the playoffs. I think they'll have a middle of the pack finish, and they'll have some ups and downs this season, but I think you hit the nail on the head by saying, like, this is more about making your star player Taylor Hall want to stick around in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's it. They have to do something. Like you said, middle of the pack, and I think Taylor Hall would be fine with that if he sees that there's growth and there is a future here.
Yeah.
To make him want to stay.
He needs to see that upward trend, or he's not going to stay.
I don't think it matters to him. I think he's gone regardless of what this team shows this season. He'll
go to the highest bidder, and I doubt it's going to be New Jersey when push comes to shove.
I want to know what you think about the gamble that they took bringing in Wayne Simmons this season on a 1-year deal.
That is somebody I kind of forgot about, and as a Flyers fan, I'm a big fan of Wayne Simmons.
Yes.
The 1-year deal, that's good because it's a chance for them to test the waters with him. Wayne Simmons has the chance to. I mean, like, he's always been a Flyer. He hasn't really had a chance to do anything else anywhere else.
Yeah, well, he went to Nashville last year at the deadline.
Yeah,
and,
that didn't work out. I
didn't even notice him on
So that's the thing. That's why I think if he hit the ground running and did really well in Nashville towards the end of the season and then into the playoffs, then.
Yeah, he said himself. I'm signing this 1-year deal to prove to everybody that I still got it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that he can be that. He's such a rough and tumble player. He's a hard player to play against. He's a good complementary guy. He's a guy who can go on the ice and make a skilled guy around him better by creating room for him.
Yeah.
By playing in front of the net on the power play. He's not afraid to get into any of the dirty areas of the game, and he can still put up good numbers. He can still have 50-point seasons for the rest of his career, I think. And so I think bringing in PK Subban, those guys are both guys who are going to generate a lot of energy in the locker room and generate a lot of hype for the team that I think they might need moving forward. I mean, it's been dull in New Jersey for how long?
Yeah, it's been pretty ugly, since Brody retired.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the teams I'm kind of stuck on. Like, I don't know which way they're going to go this season, but I am excited to watch them, to see what we get with the young kid Jack Hughes, to see if he can, take another step, and to see what Hall eventually wants to do with his future.
That'd be the talking points for the Devils. Now, on to the next team. We got one of the New Yorks, the New York Islanders.
Surprising team last season.
Yeah, they proved to everybody that they didn't need Tavares to succeed.
How about losing your superstar player and still making the playoffs and going farther than Tavares?
Yeah, the Islanders are a good team. They had a 1-2 punch in Leonard and Grice were the best 1-2 goalies in the NHL. They both had incredible stats. Leonard proving, coming back from some pretty dark times and some pretty rough, times in his personal life to come out and have a great season in a place like the New York Islanders. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really good. Barzal is actually a nuts player. Like he's so entertaining to watch the way he moves the puck, and he's very creative. 3-on-3 overtime. He's a scary player because of how quick he is and how he can, take a puck with him all the way around the net when he's got all that room to move.
I love Matthew Barzal. I love a lot of the forwards on this team, and they're not upper echelon superstars, but they jive so well together.
Yeah,
and
Anders Lee is like such a sleeper pick too. Like, and even in fantasy hockey,
yes,
Anders Lee puts up good numbers.
Anders Lee's great, and Jordan Eberle as well.
Jordan Eberle, one of my favorite Canadian players of all time, Team Canada wise. A guy we got to grow up watching, Josh Bailey, former Windsor Spitfire. They've got a lot of pieces. They do. They got a lot of pieces, and that's the thing.
I can see the forward group jiving once again and having a nice run here to potentially make the playoffs once again. My question is in net now that they've lost Leonard, who had his bounce back season and really just proved he's a talented goaltender, but they brought in Semyon Varlamov.
Varlamov,
and he's. Last year, he basically didn't have as well of a season.
Yeah, he ended up backing up Philip Grubauer, who saw that coming.
Yeah, we didn't see that coming. And he comes in here. I'm expecting they're going to use a tandem once again.
Go with Grice and Varlamov splitting time.
Do you think this is a downgrade of Leonard, or do you think this is probably on par of what we had last year?
Well, that's what I wrote here in the notes. Is that, like, for me, it's like an expensive side grade, and it's also the fact that because I don't think Varlamov's any better than Leonard, and I think it sucks to hear, especially after you read the little tidbit that Leonard put out and says he said like I was ready to stay, but when it came to contract talks, they had already made up their mind that they were keep going for Varlamov, and after you have like a stellar output of a season like that, you got a fan base that loves you in net. You obviously for a 1-2 goalie relationship to work like that, you have to have a good relationship with your goalie partner. You got to trust each other, right? It's like a battle of respect, and there's obviously respect between Leonard and Grice, and I think that relationship gets underplayed in good 1-2 tandems. So like the chances that this could go really south if Varlamov doesn't mesh with Grice very well, or isn't really able to, some goalies need to be that number one guy or they can't succeed because they can't have the consistency.
Yeah, that's exactly why I asked you this question.
It just seems like it's going to be, like this is an unnecessary wrench that they could be tossing in the gears here. And, Leonard's found himself a home in Chicago. He's not going to not play because Corey Crawford is a terrible goalie and has had the effect of an amazing team in front of him his entire career.
Yep.
So he'll still get time to play. And it's good for Leonard because he's at least found another season in the NHL. But I think that's the biggest mistake the Owls made this offseason was not re-signing Leonard and going for Varlamov instead, because not much of an upgrade to be made there, and all you've done is introduce possible problems rather than fixing anything. You didn't fix anything by doing that.
Well, I figured they thought Leonard was kind of like a one-hit wonder and that he wouldn't be able to repeat the season he had.
He will be able to. I guarantee he will be able to.
Well, we'll have to see what he does in Chicago. Do you think this team make the playoffs?
They can make the playoffs. Do I think they will for sure? That wouldn't be something I would put money on. But they're definitely like looking at their division.
This division is honestly a toss-up.
Yeah, there's lots of scenarios where they do make it. So
yes,
I'll call them a contender, but I wouldn't like put pen to paper on any bets on that one.
So now move on to our next team,
the other New York,
the Rangers. This team spent some money this year. They brought in Artemi Panarin.
That was what I was most surprised about.
Me too. I didn't figure he would go there.
Like if Blue Jackets are gonna lose Panarin to anyone, you'd think that they were either gonna lose him to a contender or somewhere where he was gonna make like a tax-free state like Florida.
Well, that was the guess was that him and Bobrovsky were both going to Florida.
They're good friends. They party together.
Panarin had said he wanted to go somewhere with water, and I think he said he wanted warm weather. He went to New York.
Yeah, that's some shitty
cold.
Winters. Yeah. That's rough. And
I hope he's happy there because he's going to be there for quite a while.
And that's one of those contracts that, like, if Panarin starts to taper off in the next few years, that's going to hurt them for a long time. But
a few seasons back, the Rangers basically said they were going to start rebuilding. And I think bringing in a guy like Panarin and getting that second overall pick and bringing in Capo Caco, this rebuild is going to happen way faster than we expected.
It's been accelerated for sure.
Yeah. So you have a young kid in Capo coming in. This is my pick to win the Calder this year.
Capo Caco?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a superstar. And along with, playing on a team with guys like Panarin, Zibanejad, who had an amazing year.
Zibanejad has really come out of his shell in New York. I mean, he wasn't ever really given the opportunity to be that number one guy in Ottawa.
Yes.
And so in New York last season, where you didn't have a ton going for you and you had a lot of room to work with, he made the most of it. And yeah, I think he'll be their number one center going on. He'll get a letter on his chest probably before he's done with his time here in New York. Their defense got a little bit better. They picked up Jacob Trouba.
Yeah, I like that.
He's a solid shot blocking defenseman. He fills a role. That right side of the ice, right defense is a tough void to fill.
It is. It's one of the hardest positions in the league to fill.
So, but they did lose Neil Pionk, who is I think a good young defenseman. But I think getting Trouba for him is great for them. The question is how many years does Lundqvist have left at the level that he's at?
That's it, and he wants to play here. He has said, he doesn't want to play anywhere else. He wants to win, but he wants to win in New York.
He wants to finish his career in New York, I think, regardless of whether he wins or not. It's a very Swedish thing to do.
Yes.
I feel like Swedes generally end up being very loyal to their teams. If you look at guys like the Sedins, Henrik Zetterberg, Nicholas Kronwall, a lot of these, Marcus Naslund.
Yeah.
Look. If you even go back in time, Peter Forsberg barely played for any teams.
Peter Forsberg, yeah.
He mostly played for Colorado his whole career.
He also went to Nashville.
There's a couple places where he ended up just as he tapered out, but they're mostly loyal guys, and that's what I mean.
Well, that's it. He's going to stay here. The only way I see him wanting to leave would be, he realizes this is the end, and it was a deadline deal. Put me somewhere I can win.
Yeah, if for some reason...
I don't think he's ready anytime soon to retire. I think he's got a couple seasons left in him.
If for some reason trade deadline comes around this season or even next season, and they don't have a chance to win, but they have a chance to put him in a place where he's got a shot to get his name on that cup, he could go. I don't think it'll be because he wants to leave, but I think it'll be because he realizes he has to before the clock's up, right? That's pretty much it for New York, though. That's Hank is the question.
And this season, they will be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, they won't. I don't think they'll make it.
With our playoff comments there.
They won't make it.
Deadline. Another team that we think improved this season, Philadelphia Flyers.
Your Philadelphia Flyers.
Way overspent on Kevin Hayes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they paid a little bit too much for him.
And they had to, or he wouldn't have stayed there.
The fact that they gave up the pick just to basically take him on a nice tour of the city.
Yeah.
I'm glad it worked out. That's
yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say because.
Well, they're gonna need more than he can produce, I think, for that dollar amount. So you hope that this year he has a good season.
Mm-hmm.
They also signed Travis Konechny.
Good player, really good player.
I like that one. I really do.
I like that they picked him up. Voracek's kind of coming out of his prime. They need a solid kind of right wing slot guy who can put up points on the power play, who can play that Philadelphia style of hockey that's a little bit gritty but still has the skill end to it. That's like a modern Flyers hockey brand. They did lose Wayne Simmons, as we talked about earlier, which kind of sucks. But their blue line, Provorov's getting better. Gostisbehere's getting better. Carter Hart's going to probably be the story.
No, yeah, Carter Hart is going to be the guy. He's the future of this franchise, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I love Carter Hart. I think he's going to have a great season. And, like you said, the defense is the worry.
They picked up your boy Justin Braun.
Yeah, I think that trade worked out for both teams.
It did. It was one of the. I mean, there's.
You needed a D man, and you just you got a piece that's good enough to throw out there.
A seasoned NHL defenseman who's going to play a season, and he's durable.
Yep.
They don't really have anybody beyond that top pair, like I said, that of the Provorov Gostisbehere, and that's even then that's not that's barely a top two on most good teams. So it's going to be up to Carter Hart to have basically very stellar a very stellar season. I think a lot of people are expecting him to. I think he can do it. Will the pressure get to him at some points? Maybe. Do the Flyers make the playoffs? I'll be happily surprised.
I think they could.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they could do it, but I'll be happily surprised if they do. It's going to be an outside looking in thing. Now, the next team, the other team from Pennsylvania.
The other team from Pennsylvania. This is my pick of the year as a team that will miss the playoffs.
This is probably where we'll disagree the most throughout this entire little 4-episode series.
The Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yep.
They're weak. They lost. They traded away Phil Kessel.
They won that trade.
Definitely lost that trade.
No, they won that trade.
Whatever you say.
Dude, Galchenyuk
is going to do nothing.
He's hurt right now, so you don't know that.
Yes, see? He's hurt. You can't do anything when you're hurt.
You don't know that. Pennsylvania's got way better hot dogs than Arizona.
All right, you're right. Way better hot dogs. Pens are in the playoffs.
All I'm saying is that Phil Kessel has been playing either with Crosby or Malkin his entire time in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Now we saw what happened, and I like you know that I like to coin this the Chris Kunitz effect.
Yeah.
When Kunitz left playing with those two guys, what did he do?
Nothing.
He retired. That's what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Phil Kessel's going to do anything.
I know.
I think Pittsburgh is going to struggle.
So you
this
get rid
season.
of Kessel, you dump the salary, you get a good young player in return. You're at least getting some value back in terms of getting Galchenyuk. You have a guy who you could slot in your top 6 if you need to, but he's also played bottom 6 roles in his career. He's still got a lot of growing to do, and I think everybody's been saying that for his entire career. But at least you're trading some potential for a guy who's going to be who's predicted to taper off, probably will taper off, and fills a very specific role.
Oh, Galchenyuk could be great for them. A nice younger guy. It could do something for them. Yes, it's a good trade. Okay.
I don't see how.
In the sense of what the Penguins will do this season, it hurts them this season. In the future, great trade.
They got some good guys in their trades last season though too.
All right, well,
they picked up Nick Bjugstad. That's a good pickup.
Well, if you think they're so great, why don't you tell me about their blue line?
I can't. That's the problem.
Because there's nobody there.
Chris Letang, and Letang at any moment could just be out for the season.
Letang.
Yeah, they have Justin Schultz.
I'm sorry. I don't think that defense is all that great, which is going to put way too much on Matt Murray. And what Matt Murray are we getting? We've seen both sides of Matt Murray, where he is all-star potential to nothing.
And unfortunately, right when that expansion lottery came around, we saw the good Matt Murray. Now we've seen the not so great Matt Murray, and it's going to depend a lot on Matt Murray this season. We know Crosby's going to put up points as long as he stays healthy. We know Malkin's going to be able to be a second line center and put up points.
I think Malkin has a real big bounce back year, and he puts up way more points. I think he will light it up.
Yeah, he could have a chance to do that, and I mean, he's not like he's going to have to feed the puck over to Phil Kessel the way that somebody feeds him hot dogs at a fair, but it's going to be interesting to see. You don't think they're going to make it. That's your hot take, and I respect that.
They'll be right on the edge, but they will just fall short.
I think they make it, and I think they contend for the division against the next team, who I think will win the division.
Oh, hands down. I think when you look at the Metropolitan here as a whole, it is the Washington Capitals and a bunch of other hockey teams.
Yeah.
It's like you can throw the rest of the teams in a blender and pull out
two of them.
Yeah, and that's who gets in the playoffs.
That's a pretty good analogy, I think, because the Capitals, it's their division to lose at this point.
They're walking away with it for sure.
Yeah, Holtby and Net's solid. They've got one of the most solid blue lines in the NHL in terms of being able to rough you up, but also move the puck to your solid up front guys. Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, Oshie, Nick Backstrom. Mm-hmm. They're a cup contending team.
Ovechkin scores goals, and then that's how you win hockey games, and that's all I can say, man. He's just the GOAT.
A great hockey coach once told me that the way he sees the game, it's really the team that scores the most goals that wins the game. So score more goals.
That's genius.
That was the advice. So
you're not wrong.
Does Ovechkin crack scoring records? I mean, maybe. Who knows? It's going to be fun to watch either way. The Washington Capitals, they play fun to watch hockey.
They do.
They'll rough you up on the blue line. They'll rough you up in your own end. Tom Wilson might just kill a guy.
Yes. So he'll be suspended. But
You just don't know. I mean, and
they
then
will be without Kuznetsov for the first 3 games because of cocaine. So it appears, and if you want a 3-game suspension in the NHL, you either do cocaine or push a ref.
we'll get to that. We think so. Yeah, obviously, back to your blender analogy, the Metropolitan is going to be a mixed bag with the Capitals just sitting on top of whoever else comes out.
Yes.
And I mean, it's easier for us to just say like the Blue Jackets, the Devils don't make it, than it is for us to say the other 2 teams that are going to make it.
Yes, that's
and it would not be surprising to me if the Atlantic division takes both wildcard spots.
Yeah, absolutely, they could do that.
That could happen.
And I see that happening in the West, for sure. With the Central taking, I think Central are going to take both there.
Yeah,
but yeah, you could definitely see that, because this could easily go Capitals, Penguins, Flyers, or Capitals, Hurricanes, Islanders.
it could end up anything like that, and that's what's going to make it a really fun division to watch this season. Anyways, that'll be it for our season preview for the Metropolitan. By the time you've listened to this, a couple of games have already gone by, so maybe you've got some thoughts you want to drop below on what you think, how the Metropolitan is going to shake down. Again, you can follow us on social media. All of those links are down below. You can check us out on SoundCloud or YouTube, depending on where you're listening. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, tweet us your questions, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Peace.